Welcome to another edition of It's Still Real to Me, Zaslow Show 2.0. My pal Joey Levine joining me here as always, as we will recap the big stories the week that was in pro wrestling, WWE, AEW. How about this, Joey? Impact Wrestling is coming to Pembroke Pines next weekend, Winter Warfare, Friday and Saturday night. It's right here in Pembroke Pines. I'm going to go on Friday night. I'm going to take my son. Those guys are, shout out to Ross. Those guys are setting me up there at Impact. I'm going to go watch their show. We got a few pairs of tickets that we're going to give away for Impact Wrestling today. So keep listening. I'll tell you coming up. I'll tell you exactly how you can win those. But I got 3 pairs of tickets courtesy of the guys there at Impact Wrestling. So if you've been looking to go to the show coming up this next weekend, Pembroke Pines, very close to me. I got a few pairs of tickets we can give away. We're going to send some folks to see Impact Wrestling, which, like I said, Winter Warfare, supposed to be a big show. Ticketmaster.com. Very affordable, by the way. All right. So Ticketmaster.com, if you're looking to check that show out. How you doing this week? You all right?
I'm good. I'm actually pretty jealous because I'm going to be out of town. I'm going to be in Austin, Texas, Friday and Saturday, so I can't go to the show.
You would go otherwise.
I'm assuming FTR is going to be on that show, right? That makes it worth the price of admission. They're the Impact Tag Team Champions.
Okay.
So that makes it worth it just there. But also, now after listening to Brian Myers, aka Kurt Hawkins,
he was great, right? I had him on my show. He was great.
I got it. I mean, not that I wasn't a fan of him before, but like now I got to root for him. I mean,
he was good, right?
Yeah, he's great, dude. I always like, there's parts of me that wish, like, you listen to successful people, and it's not like, look, Brian Myers is great. It's not like he's the most successful wrestler in the history of wrestling, but it shows you how obsessive you have to be successful and stuff like that. Like when you were talking to him about, like, does he ever get burnt out on watching wrestling? And he's like, no, I'm psychotic. I'll just watch wrestling all the time.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, you kind of have to be to like continue to, when you're not the most talented or you're not the best, how do you continue to stay relevant? He watches everything. He's just like
I don't envision in his free time, the tribal chief is sitting at home, watching other match. I don't imagine that that's what's happening in Roman Reigns' household, right?
Yeah, probably not. But that's my point, is like when you're Brian Myers and your whole career has been a fight to stay relevant, it makes sense. He's like, I got to know everything that's going on at all times because I run a wrestling school. I do a wrestling podcast. I'm on the indies. I'm trying to do all these things. He's got to watch it all. He's got to stay up on it. It's awesome. I mean,
if you miss Brian Myers on Zaslow Show 2.0 this week, you can go back. You can check out the podcast. I think it was Thursday's show. He joined me, but also the whole interview is up there on youtube.com/@Zaslow Show. So you can check that out. I think we're going to have Bully Ray on the show this week leading up to Impact's Winter Warfare. So I'm looking forward to talking to him.
You can't go wrong with him. I mean, that guy, he not only is he great, but his pulse on the industry is always very good. So, but yeah, I'm like, my timing is just not great with these trips. So this week I was in DC for work, and Raw's in DC on Monday. So I'm just missing that. And then I'm going to Austin on Thursday. Dynamite's in Austin on Wednesday. My timing with work shit is killing me right now. I missed 2, and this Dynamite show next week, we'll talk about it. It looks like a pay-per-view. It's crazy.
So, by the way, shout out my pals at Johnny Cuba. You like my hat? All right.
Hell yeah.
Juan, Myra setting me up with some gear. Johnny Cuba, go grab yourself a Johnny. You can pick it up. Sedano's, Winn-Dixie, Presidente. They got special 6-pack cans right now throughout this holiday season. Johnny Cuba, stay tranquilo. All right. So let's begin the week, man. So Raw on Monday night, which of course is the first show. It's the recap show essentially from Survivor Series War Games. The show opens up with Becky Lynch. All right. Becky Lynch, the man, opens up the show. I loved this segment, Joey. I loved this segment. Becky, first of all, was phenomenal on the microphone. She's been great for years on that mic. And, if there was any doubt as to whether or not the man is back, she's the man of the people, where she decides, okay, I'm gonna do this entire first segment in the crowd, which is always a little bit dangerous. You got a live mic in the crowd. During the Attitude Era, you got to have your head examined. You go into the crowd with a live microphone. Things are not quite the same 25 years later, but still, it's a little bit dicey.
Yeah, it's dicey.
And
Remember when CM Punk was in the crowd and he knocked that dude out? I think it was like probably almost, what was it? Probably like 10 years ago almost now, but still that's way after the Attitude Era. And the fans were aggressive and you had to like turn around and like strike again.
And it was completely unexpected because she didn't have any security standing there with her. It was not planned. Maybe she planned it, but it was not planned.
Well, I was going to ask you that because what I was wondering about it was, do you think that the guys that she like picked were like, there was any reason, or she just looked around and was like, I'm just going to talk to this guy?
No, I think she's that good on the microphone. I think she's that comfortable.
Yeah.
She's out there with Bob, who I thought was a nice little addition to the opening segment. The other guy, Zachary, he was weird. A little too anxious. I kept saying, hey, buddy, how about you move over a little bit? Get off the screen. All right. You're ruining this. Bob, though, I liked. I thought, although it's that thing that I talk about this on Zaslow Show 2.0 all the time. Bob was like obsessed with recording the whole thing on his phone. Just be in the moment, man. You're never going to get this opportunity the rest of your life. You're probably recording Raw at home. All right. You're going to have it right there. You could save it on your DVR forever. You don't need to be fiddling around with the phone the whole time. Be on the show with Becky Lynch, That's
true. I forgot that he was recording. So it definitely wasn't a plan. It was definitely just like a regular dude.
And just recording it. Like, live in the now, man. You're never going to get this opportunity.
Hey, maybe Bob has a wrestling podcast and he was on IG Live to his followers. Like, look, guys, I'm with Becky Lynch right now. Maybe Bob had a reason.
I will tell you, though, so then, Bayley comes out, and I will tell you, for the first time in a long time, I thought Bayley felt important again. That's going to happen when Becky Lynch has got a back and forth going with you. But Bayley was really great in that spot also. Bob sucks. Don't talk about Bob that way. That back and forth,
great.
that was really good stuff. And I think we talked about this after War Games where, okay, give me some Becky and Bayley, Let's have Bayley feel important again. She's had one feud since she came back. She lost it to Bianca Belair. What are we going to do now? Okay, throw Becky in a program right away with Bayley, and let's see if we can get Bayley feeling like a top contender again. So I really dug this opening segment.
Yeah, I liked it too. There are moments when Bayley's talking where I feel like the crowd starts to tune out. But when she's with Becky, it's going to be good. But there have been moments where I've noticed where it's damage control in the ring and the crowd just seems to not be totally reacting the way you'd want. Like with Bayley, she's a huge heel. You want like nuclear heat, like where like they hate her and they kind of don't. I think they want to like her almost. Like I think people like Bayley, and there's just times where it seems like the crowd is not totally into it, but they're obviously into this because of Becky, so it's fine. Yeah. And it's going to be good, and the matches will be great whenever they fight each other. And you can never go wrong with a brawl out into the. You know what I love about the brawl out into the concourse is how do the fans in the concourse know that there's going to be there's a obviously separation of fans and where the fight's happening. How did those fans know there's going to be a brawl in the concourse?
Well, I think you probably have the cameramen who are chilling there for a little bit. And, somebody says, hey, let's hang around. Let's see what develops here because something's about to happen. I dug that whole segment. It was fun. I didn't think it overstayed its welcome. I thought it was a fun way to kick off the show.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that Triple H has been really good at since he took over is, yes, obviously the show started with, I guess, a promo from Becky, but that opening segment hasn't been promo heavy anymore. They've really gotten right to the action, which I like.
Yeah, I agree. And I think I like to, we'll get into it, that I think it's pretty clear now. Like I think we talked about either last week or the week before is like, where is Damage Control? Are they on Raw? Or are they on SmackDown?
I thought Damage Control had a really good week, by the way.
Yeah, they're clearly on both, and that's great. I mean, if we're gonna have women's factions, there's only one real top one. There's only really one right now, so they might as well be on both shows. They have the women's titles that are on both shows, so they might as well be on both. And I think I love Dakota Kai, so that's great seeing her twice a week too.
Yeah, I think Damage Control had a really good week. I've always really liked Dakota Kai, especially this like hot mess gimmick of Dakota Kai. She had a really good night last night on SmackDown too, where just she, even when she's not talking and she's in the background there, she's
like this weird she
feels involved in everything.
Yeah,
like you're right. Like I can't take my eyes off her. her facial expressions, her body movement. She's got something to say in the back about everything.
Yeah.
I think she's done. She was a real big time player this week. I thought I really enjoyed.
Yeah, I think
even though she lost on Monday night, which I was a little disappointed about. I guess they kind of felt like they needed to get Candice LeRae a win. She hasn't done anything in a really long time. But based on the way I felt about Dakota Kai when she came out last night, even it's like I didn't really care that she lost to Candice LeRae. So that's a sign that what Dakota Kai is doing is working.
Yeah, I'm not that Candice LeRae. I like Candice LeRae. She's fine. She's good.
Fine.
She's good in the ring. She's never had a great character that I've like fallen in love with, other than the whole like she kind of is Johnny Gargano without being as good. Like she was on the indies for a long time, great wrestler. Now she's in the big time, whatever. But it was weird that I mean, yeah, I guess that makes sense. They needed to get her a win, but yeah, it's fine. I mean, they're still the tag champs. They're still on both shows. They're still in the biggest faction, so it doesn't do anything for her to lose.
The big story of the night, of course, is KO, the Bloodline, all that. Before we get to that, though, when is the Alexa Bliss turn coming? Alexa Bliss, she's in the back. Like, it's Bianca and Asuka, I think, as well, and Alexa.
You saw the Bray thing.
And you got the Bray logo, which pops up momentarily on the screen behind Alexa, and she kind of falls into a trance, and she's not really paying attention anymore. And, so when is the Alexa, like, it's happening, right? It's going to happen. This isn't for nothing. She's eventually going to join Bray Wyatt. Yeah,
but also what she said was interesting too. Like she was like, she lost focus, and then she said, "Oh yeah, Becky was a good idea." Like it's almost like she resents that they felt like they had to bring in Becky or something. Like I
thought she said something like, "Yeah, everything Bianca just said." Bianca, like I thought that's what she said.
Yeah, but she mentioned Becky too. She mentioned like, "Oh yeah, Becky. It was a great idea calling Becky or whatever." Like something like that. It was something like a throwaway line, but where I was like, "Huh."
It's interesting because I thought at the end of War Games too, when they were all standing there, the 5 women, and they were celebrating, I thought Alexa looked kind of detached. So maybe that was a little bit foreshadowing.
But I mean, I think that they're clearly teasing that she's going to do something with Bray or be back with Bray. But I thought also coming out of War Games, it was going to be Nikki Cross, and Nikki Cross wasn't on TV this week. So I don't know what that.
She was Oh, no. What? No, you're right. She wasn't on TV this week.
No,
I guess they have. What is it? Is she nursing injuries? Is that what we're doing there?
Probably. I mean, that they all got to be still nursing injuries. I mean, Raw, by the way, I don't think I noticed it on SmackDown, but on Raw, Bayley was like noticeably limping really badly. Like she didn't look like she could walk. I'm surprised that she even was like physical at all.
Well, and they made note that Alexa Bliss and Bianca Belair are not cleared to wrestle.
Right. Yeah. So
they
maybe
didn't say it about anyone else, but they said it about those two.
Yeah, it's possible that Nikki is not, and they just didn't bring it up because she wasn't booked on either show.
I think probably you also don't want a character like Nikki who's kind of crazy. You don't want it to seem like she could be held back by a doctor. You know,
I guess that's fair.
I think that's fair. That's probably a little bit of what you're doing. Hey, she's not cleared to compete. Well, she's crazy. Like, who cares?
Yeah, but if Raquel Rodriguez can can wrestle with a snapped elbow, then anyone can wrestle.
So the big story of Raw, though, is all right. It's the reaction show essentially to War Games. Roman Reigns is not there, but it was the Bloodline and celebrating Sami and just welcoming him essentially as not just an honorary member. I mean, they were giving Sami his flowers. He's the guy. And then Kevin Owens comes out. We're waiting for this. This is the big story. So KO comes out, not even angry. I thought he was going to be like super angry with Sami, and they went a totally different track than I figured they would, which was he was super complimentary of Sami. I'm glad the whole world is seeing what I've seen for years now. I'm not even mad at you, but we're no longer friends anymore. I'm done with you. I thought it was an interesting way to go about it because I didn't expect that. Yeah,
it's like I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed type of gimmick, and I think it makes sense. I know what I think they're going to fight at Mania. I think it's going to be KO and Sami at Mania. I just feel like that's where we're headed.
I'm much more interested in KO versus Sami at Mania than if they were to do what's also rumored, I guess, KO and Sami versus the Usos at Mania. I'm so much more maybe we get it at Royal Rumble.
Well, I think we're getting KO Roman at Rumble.
I hope so. So if we get KO and Roman at Royal Rumble,
And
I
I
want
think
KO and Sami at WrestleMania.
Yeah, I think this next month or so, so he fought Jey Uso. I think this next couple months leading up to Rumble is going to be.
They got a lot of time to build this up. We
yeah,
got no
I mean, it's
pay-per-view
going to be
in December.
It's going to be him beating everyone in the Bloodline, right? It's going to be him beat. Now he'll fight either Jimmy or Solo, and then eventually it'll be one of these things where like the Bloodline can't get rid of KO, so now the Tribal Chief has to jump in and take care of it.
Do you read into it at all that?
And
they started this last week, okay? Do you read into it at all? And WWE's been really good about this kind of stuff. They don't say things and they don't do things anymore that are not with purpose. And Michael Cole, about a week ago, and he continued that this week, is back to calling Jey Uso main event Jey Uso.
Yeah, I brought that up. I mean, remember I brought that up during that tag match that they had where he just randomly slipped it in.
They haven't called him main event Jey Uso in
Jey
months.
Uso called, and this week Jey Uso called himself main event Jey Uso.
So you think that's purposeful?
I think there's something to it. Yeah. And I also think there's something to the fact that Jey Uso lost his singles match this week and Sami Zayn won his singles match this week.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? It's like because in the storyline context of the Bloodline, that those things matter to the Tribal Chief. You got to win. But Bloodline is dominant. You have to win matches if you're going to be in the Bloodline. If we're going to be the best faction in the history of the sport, you can't lose matches, especially to, you can't lose to Kevin Owens if you're main event Jey Uso.
I don't think they're going to forget about Jey Uso saying, I don't give a damn what the Tribal Chief says.
I know.
I don't think we're going to forget about that.
I don't think the Tribal Chief doesn't forget about these things. These are all
because they
things.
Called back this week also. It was on SmackDown last night, but they called back where Jimmy asked Jey, have you confronted Sami about him lying to your face?
Yes. Yeah. There's a really, this is the brilliance of the Bloodline, even to this point, right? Coming out of Survivor Series, it's like, all right, everything's great with the Bloodline. They're the strongest they've ever been. What's going to happen with Roman? But the brilliance of it has been that there's all these little wrinkles that keep happening, right? And so, like you mentioned, last night they had that little backstage thing last night on SmackDown where Jimmy asks Jey, have you confronted him about it? And then we don't really get a resolution to that conversation because they get attacked by Sheamus. But there's a couple other things so one is they have this new thing. They come out, the four of them, without Roman, and Jey Uso or Jimmy, one or the other says, the Bloodline is in your city.
Yeah,
they're clearly faces, right?
Oh, well, how about the way Jimmy and Jey were reacting the entire match outside with Sami versus Sheamus? They were behaving like babies.
But the other thing that's been interesting to me on Raw and SmackDown, during the entrance and in the ring, Solo doesn't hold up the one anymore.
Yeah, you know what? I'm glad you brought that up. I think people are looking too into that. I don't think there's.
But he looks. Here's the thing. I know there probably isn't. He looks very annoyed by everything that's going on.
That's his.
But he didn't know his
personality. That's his character.
Yeah, but for the first few weeks that he was in the Bloodline, when they brought him up, he was like Sammy's guy. Like he was always with Sami. They were always doing things together. He was backing Sami up.
Yeah.
And now it's almost like Sammy's the third Uso brother.
Did he used to hold up the one?
Yeah, during the entrance, at least. Yeah. And now he just stands there with his arms crossed.
He doesn't wear the colors.
Yep. And when they hugged Sami on Raw, he was like hesitant to hug them. And then this week they did and then on SmackDown, they did the 3-way handshake. Yeah. And Solo's just kind of looking at him like, what? Like, what is this shit? Like, what am I doing?
You think he's like, he's upset that Sami's now the younger brother?
I think that's what they're implying. Right. I think that's what they want you to think. Like, I agree with you.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything there.
I think they're doing that to get us to read more into it than there probably is. But that's definitely different than what it was before.
Because people are talking about that, by the way. He's wearing a different color. He doesn't put up the one. He doesn't go hug them. And then KO's music hits, which was a really cool scene. He's not into the fun and games now. I think people are looking into it too much. I think that's his character. He's super serious. He doesn't have personality. He just wants to kick the shit out of people.
But people are looking into it because it wasn't his character. Up until now, that wasn't. He did hold up the one.
What could he possibly have to be upset about?
All
he cares about is the Bloodline winning, and right now they're winning. Right? Like, what could he possibly be upset about?
Again, there's so many layers to the whole Bloodline, like, storyline that he is there, but remember, Solo was not brought in by Roman. Solo was sent by the elders to protect the bloodline, to be the enforcer of the bloodline.
Good shit.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So Solo, while Solo is loyal to the bloodline and loyal to the tribal chief, he's only loyal because the elders told him to. What if the elders get frustrated? What if there's a more important Oos coming back for Mania? What if there's a more important member of the bloodline coming back that Solo's waiting on? I don't know. I'm just,
So KO,
all good shit. That's it's all good shit.
It's all good. I love all the questions, man. I love not knowing. KO defeats main event Jey Uso in the last match of the night. Do we read anything into it? I guess you think that there's something there where Roman, who was not on SmackDown either, Roman is going to be angry that Sami is representing the bloodline. But which, by the way, Sami won last night with help from Jey Uso,
right?
And that Jey is not representing the bloodline, going out there and losing to Kevin Owens. So maybe Roman's going to be like, "Let me take care of this fool myself," and they're going to fight again at Royal Rumble. I think their match, which was fantastic, I think that was 2 Royal Rumbles ago, right?
Yeah, well, I think yes, I believe
Paul
so.
Heyman couldn't open it. It was a total botch.
But I think, I also think KO will beat Solo before Rumble. I think he may even potentially fight Jimmy. I think KO is just going to run through the bloodline, and then that's what's going to lead Roman to be like, "I thought I was done with this at Survivor Series. You guys can't take care of it, so I'll take care." Like that kind of made something like that.
If Roman and KO are going to fight at the Rumble, my hope is I want KO to win the Royal Rumble. But he can't fight Roman at Royal Rumble and then win the Rumble, because then it's like, all right.
Well, I have something on that in Big Dirt or Not a Big Dirt.
Okay,
because we can talk about it now. Or we could get into it now.
Save it. But like my initial thought is he can't lose to Roman, because if he fights Roman at Royal Rumble as opposed to WrestleMania, he's losing. All right, so we can't lose to Roman at Royal Rumble and then win the Royal Rumble and say, "Hey, guess what? See you again in 2 months." That's weird. You can't do that.
No, if he's fighting him at Rumble, that means they are not setting it up for those guys to fight at Mania. But no, I do have more on that.
Okay, good.
What's rumored for that later on?
Okay,
but I think it's fine. I mean, I think while it would be cool if KO was if they wanted KO to be the one to beat Roman,
I so badly want him to be the one.
It would make sense for it. Well, it would have to be at Mania, first of all. It couldn't happen at Rumble. So if it happened, that means if it was going to happen at Mania, they wouldn't do anything leading up. But I don't know. It's also like that's a long time. But I also think if they were going to set it up for Mania, then it's too early. They would have far from now. They would have waited. They probably would have waited till after the Rumble. Like the way they're setting up this Bloodline KO thing now, there's so much time to build to Mania.
I mean, maybe we get to a place where Bloodline kicks the shit out of KO. He's off TV for a month and a half.
Well, he is reportedly still like kind of nursing that injury that he had.
That's how you buy yourself time, Yeah,
it's possible. It's possible, but it sounds like, anything's possible. And like Brian Myers said, 75 to 80% of the dirt sheets are bullshit. So it's possible that none of what they're saying, that the rumors are real, but it sounds like they're leaning towards, Roman and KO at Rumble. So.
You got anything else on Raw? Because I'm ready to move on to SmackDown. I think those are the main points for Raw.
There's a couple things. OC. So we had the Mia Yim Rhea match that we were wondering about, right? Mi Chin wins. I believe she wins, and then the OC comes. Or I forgot exactly how it happened. Then the OC, then the Judgment Day.
No, Rhea won. Rhea got the pin, pump handle slam, and she got the pin. She won.
No, she won the tag match. She got the pump handle slam and the rip cord or rip tide or whatever it's called. And but then both factions come out. AJ Styles says, "I thought this was over at Survivor Series, but apparently not. So let's end this now." Then they have their Survivor Series match. Rhea gets the win. Yeah, I thought it's over, but then Corey Graves says something to the effect of, "I don't think this is close to over." So I guess the
more Rhea, the better. She's an MVP. She is phenomenal. By the way, shout out to Rhea Ripley's outfit at Survivor Series War Games, because that's the stuff.
Yeah, she did. She did an interview recently that I either read or whatever, that she was like talking about how she can now like show off her tattoos and stuff. Whereas in a past management, she had to like cover up that stuff.
I've had her on Zaslow Show 2.0 before. Really nice girl. And she's made a point just how comfortable she is in her own skin now, that she used to, like 5 years ago. You go look at what she looked like 5 years ago at NXT UK
long
compared to
blonde
what she looked like
hair,
now.
yeah.
Like she thought she had to be like your quintessential pretty girl. Look, I think she's still gorgeous right now, but now she's more along the lines of I can look however I want, show my tattoos, and like super comfortable with herself. She is awesome. You got anything else there?
Street Profits are back.
Okay.
Angelo Dawkins looked real skinny.
He did, right?
Looked real skinny. Looks like he's really gotten himself in some shape while Montez was.
He's nervous about them splitting Montez. He's like, I better be ready for this.
I'll tell you what. I know everyone loves Montez Ford. I kind of like Angelo Dawkins better. I think there's sometimes with Montez Ford where he's just a little too over the top for me.
Oh, he's phenomenal, man.
He's great. I mean, look, he's a freak athlete.
And
he's
they got
great
the
in the
TV
ring.
show starting with him and Bianca. I mean,
his personality sometimes is like too ramped up. I'm like, all right, I get it. I like Angelo Dawkins, and now he looks like he's in great shape. So we'll see. But I think that was it from Raw.
So let's move on to SmackDown. SmackDown opens the show again with the Bloodline, again with Solo not wearing the colors, doesn't respond to any of the celebrating.
Doesn't hold up the one.
Right. I think we're looking too much into it, but it could be them. These are little Easter eggs they're planted to try and draw you off a scent. Okay, that's fine. I like that stuff. I don't think there's anything to it. Maybe I'll wind up being wrong. And but it's still more about praising Sami. Sammy's feeling really oozy. All right. He loved the praise he was getting from those guys. And it leads to the Brawling Brutes coming out, and we get Sami Zayn versus Sheamus early on in the night, where Sami winds up getting the win with help from a super kick from Jey Uso. Sami gets a huge win. Big pop from the crowd. They love Sami Zayn. Dude's totally over.
Yeah, absolutely. And worth pointing out on the Solo thing, with all that given, he still did his job, right? On the outside of the ring, he still made the save and beat the shit out of the Brutes when there was the outside thing going on. So he did his job. So he's still doing what the Elder sent him to do. But yeah, Sammy's the best.
Their behavior, though, Jay and Jimmy, like I said, they weren't out there. Like, now that they're kind of all together, they're all on the same page. It's such a different demeanor with those guys because they weren't like being super serious outside the ring the whole match. They were cheering on Sami. They were cheerleaders throughout the entire match, and we haven't seen that from them. I don't know when.
Well, we have from Jimmy,
right?
We have
not
from
Jay,
right?
Yeah.
There's still part of it. Like when I watch Jay and I watch his interactions and him embracing Sam, he still feels like it's like tough for him. Which is, I gotta say, the Usos are great, but as an actor, Jay has taken himself above Jimmy in such an astronaut. Like Jimmy's good, but he's always smiling. Like even in the backstage segment where he's like, did you confront Sami about lying to you? Like I didn't take it seriously because he still seems so nice and just so like he loves everything. Jay's acting is just head and shoulders above right now, which is fine. There's still part of me, not all the time, but there are parts of the segments where it feels like Jay is like conflicted internally, where he's like, all right, I do trust him, and this is what the tribal chief wants, and he did save us at Survivor Series, but like there's like this hesitation there still, which is cool. But outside the ring there, and he made the save, so
it's a good match. A lot took place on SmackDown that was notable last night, so I want to run through a few things here. That Legado del Fantasma promo,
the backstage, the pre-tape thing,
the vignette. Yeah, you got Santos and Zelina sitting down smoking cigars. You got the two homeboys. I don't know their names. Apologize. They're
Joaquin Wilde and it'll come to me. I forgot the other one.
That promo was great. And Zelina Vega, I mean, she is a stud. It sucks. I don't remember the girl's name who they dropped and added Zelina when they joined SmackDown, but
I was actually just thinking about her last night. She calls her La Madrina. but I forgot what her name is. She was she's big. She's like a powerhouse wrestler. Yeah.
Yeah. But this was very clearly the right move. Like Zelina is so good with them. She lends them a lot of credibility. And I like hearing Santos speak, man, whenever he's talking. I'm interested in what he's saying. I totally dug that backstage, that vignette. That was good shit, man. It
was really good. They look awesome. Yeah. And I got to point out one small thing from that vignette, but it kept a streak alive that I'm keeping track of right now. Okay. This is the third week in somebody in WWE's writing staff or creative staff really associates poker with being successful and having money. This is the third week in a row where we've had either a poker game or a poker reference. We didn't get JBL and Corbin playing poker, but during the Legado del Fantasma pre-package thing, there's just a random cutaway to a poker table and just someone
themselves playing poker,
collecting all the chips.
Yeah, that's right.
Like that means that these guys are successful because they're collecting all the chips. And by the way, 2 commercials promoting that next week on Raw, we will have a poker tournament.
Okay.
So we will have a month straight of poker on WWE television. Just want to point that out.
It's just because it involves Legado del Fantasma. I want to I was gonna say let's skip till the end there, but I'll save what else I got for them because it was the main event. Yep. What did you make of Bray Wyatt? I don't know what the hell he's talking about. I mean, I'm interested in whenever he's on the screen, but I don't know what he's talking about.
My takeaway from the backstage from that his promo and his the pre or whatever it was that there was music in the background and it made it way creepier and it made the build of what he was saying way more seem a lot cooler. Like it started low, but then as it went on, you could hear there was they were playing music under him.
Yeah, it was his instrumental. It was his music. Yeah.
It built the tension of the promo where it was
I want to just be normal. I don't want the demon to come out.
Yeah. If it was me, I mean, I think it's all leading to him like I've been, concerned about it. It's all leading to him just absolutely beating the shit out of.
Well, they can't stretch that to Royal Rumble. Like that's going to be sometime this month. There's no.
Yeah, way. Well, notably, LA Knight not on the show, so I guess we'll see where that leads. His injuries are probably just. I mean, that guy. I mean, he's taken the beating over the last few weeks, so It's good that they gave him a week. I appreciate them giving my guy a week off.
Let me speak to you.
Yeah, let me talk to you. Let me talk to you, Bray. I don't know. Or maybe he's going to come back and join Bray. I don't know. I don't know what he's talking about either.
He's going to be like Matt Hardy, where they're going to feud and then they're going to be together? No way. They're not going to be together.
Probably not. I don't want them to be together because I want LA Knight to be the champion of everything. So, so we'll see. I don't think that. I mean, Rumble is a long time. And there's no pay-per-view.
It's almost 2 months from now.
Well, and there's no show this month. Right. There's no show in December, so we have 2 months. It's January
it also
29th.
means they're going to have some fire SmackDowns and Raws later this month because you're going to have some feuds commence. Like they're going to have some really good shows in this holiday season. Hey, so every episode is Zaslow Show 2.0, and that includes It's Still Real to Me, which comes at you on the weekends. Our title sponsor, always brought to us by Anidjar and Levine, accident attorneys. You're dealing with any type of personal injury. Joey, if you fell down, you got hurt, I'm sending you to Mark Anidjar, Glenn Levine, Ellie Anidjar. Those are my guys. None of this has been possible without their support from day number one. Anidjar and Levine, accident attorneys, any kind of accident. 800-747-FREE. That's 800-747-3733. Title sponsor of all things Zaslow Show 2.0 from day number one. Also, don't go anywhere, guys. Coming up in a few minutes, we're going to tell you exactly how you can win tickets to see Impact Wrestling's Winter Warfare in Pembroke Pines next weekend, Friday and Saturday night. We're going to give away 3 pairs of tickets. All right, so let's keep it moving here. SmackDown last night, Shayna Baszler versus Emma. I've always liked Emma. I'm glad she's back in the mix here. How about those? Emma's whole thing, she lost to Shayna Baszler. That's not a big thing. They got the romance storyline between her and her real-life boyfriend, Madcap Moss. So last week, you had Emma pumping up Madcap Moss before his loss to Karrion Kross. This week, you have Madcap Moss pumping up Emma before her loss to Shayna Baszler. But did you notice that Emma, right before she gave him a kiss on the cheek, she called him Riddick? Do you think that was on purpose, where it's like, okay, their relationship is at a place where she calls him by his real name, which we know is not his real name, but his real name? Or
Right.
do you think she screwed it up and it's like, oh yeah, he's Madcap now?
Or are they going away from Madcap? Like maybe they're just going back to maybe they're just calling him Riddick. Like
yeah, because
the
Madcap is like a crazy person, and he doesn't look
Yeah.
so crazy right now talking to Emma.
And it was him, and that was when he was with Baron, and they were
Yeah.
acting like they had all the money, and so maybe they're just
All right, so maybe he's back to Riddick.
maybe he's back to Riddick. But then Wade Barrett did call him Madcap when she was coming out. Like he said Emma and Madcap look like they're getting awfully close lately.
They don't have a real handle on everyone's name. Is she Michin? Is she Mia Yim? Is he Madcap? Is he Riddick? Whatever.
I will say I love Emma. I always thought she was really good. And by the way, she is an absolute smoke show. But she's debuted and lost twice now. Like, what are we doing?
Because it's just about the romance angle. That's all they care about. That's what it's about.
But that's what that's what she got brought back to WWE for, to have a romance angle with her real life boyfriend.
I think it's just what they're doing right now. You know?
I guess, but they could have done that and also like brought her back to like win some matches. Like they brought her back to just get absolutely destroyed twice.
Well, the only point in this segment, though, no Ronda Rousey this week. Thank God. I think everyone was looking for a break from Ronda, to be perfectly honest with you. Boy, she was terrible at Survivor Series. But the whole point in this segment was twofold, and they accomplished both. Number one, Shayna Baszler looked like a badass. And number two, they're setting up Raquel Rodriguez versus Ronda, presumably for Royal Rumble.
Yeah, and I think it accomplished both those things, but I also think it hurt. Like Shayna's so much better than Ronda. Like I don't even think it's particularly close. And I like that they're together because I actually think, I know this is crazy, I think Shayna in the world of professional wrestling elevates Ronda.
I don't think it's crazy.
I think
it's crazy.
I mean, and I think she just makes her gimmick better because Shayna is so much better.
Shayna's also excellent on the microphone. I don't think it's crazy what you said.
And she looks like a legit badass.
Yeah.
I mean, we know that Ronda Rousey is a legit.
And you could tell she takes it seriously. Like, I don't know how serious Ronda takes it anymore. I really don't.
Yeah. So I thought the whole thing was really good. And it makes me want to see Shayna more. Like, for those who watched Shayna Baszler in NXT, she is undeniable as a top woman in the company.
She might be the greatest women's champion of all time, NXT.
Yeah. She was incredible, and she still has that in her. And it looks like we're trending towards Triple H just letting her do her thing, which is what it seems like he's letting all his former NXT people do. But
Elimination Chamber is coming up again in February. That's, of course, where Shayna kind of like made her debut with WWE, and she ran through the entire gauntlet. Like, I hope she's in that match again so she could do something similar.
Yeah, I mean, do you think that it's ultimately leading to her and Ronda breaking up and fighting
at WrestleMania?
I don't know. I mean, something along those lines, because I always wanted to see them do the real four horsemen.
I think that's most likely coming before any kind of Ronda Shayna split. But you can't really do the four horsemen thing. You got no.
Yeah, I don't think Jessamine Duke is in WWE anymore.
She's not.
Marina
Shafir.
Marina Shafir is in AEW.
Right. Yes, they're not going to do that.
Right. I know. Well, I always wanted to see them versus the four horsewomen of WWE.
Right.
I think that everybody always wanted to see that, and we never got it.
Right.
But I don't know. All I know is it doesn't help Ronda when she's not there. Like, it helps her to have...
And everyone can see that Shayna is so much better.
Shayna is just so on her own, is such a badass. Like, would you have been... Like, to me, it'd be entirely plausible for her to have gone back in the ring and fought all three of those women at once and kicked all their asses. I could have seen it happening, and I would have enjoyed it. I would not have enjoyed it if Ronda did that. Like, there's just something about it that Shayna's just
like
better.
I said, I think we all needed a week or so off from Ronda Rousey. In case you were wondering what Lacey Evans is up to, she's getting back to basics. I
was waiting for that.
They are repackaging her for the 25th time.
They're what's the word to say that they're just packaging her back to what she was? Like,
but I guess like so. She was the military
different. Doesn't she look
girl.
Different in the promo? Doesn't she look a little different in the promo too?
Well, because the last military angle that she was doing was as a heel who is underappreciated and also still looking super sexy. This version looks like she's going to be babyface, military girl who's super tough and, doesn't take any shit from anyone. And they're dropping the whole kind of sexy bit from her, I guess. To me, all it meant, and I like Lacey Evans, but to me, it just meant like, man, they're just throwing shit against the wall and hoping something sticks.
Yeah, the first zoom in they did in the vignette of her face, I didn't think it was her. She looked different. I thought it was Michelle McCool. She looked like, I thought it was her. Which I know it's her, but there was something, she just looked totally different, but I don't know. Yeah, hey, just back to basics.
I dug Kofi Kingston and Gunther. I mean, it was just a match for the sake of having a match. It's cool.
Well, so that we can find out that Kofi's the first official entrance into the Royal Rumble.
What is that? Did I miss that?
Yeah, the backstage. He did a backstage segment,
right? With Imperium.
No, but the beginning of it was just him being interviewed, and
you know what? I missed the very beginning. What did he say? He
said, "I'm here to announce that I'm the first entrance into this year's Royal Rumble."
Okay, he's not number one.
No, he's the first official person that's in the Royal Rumble.
Gotcha.
I mean, he could be number one.
I misunderstood. Okay, yeah. Why would you offer to be a number one unless you're Roman Reigns 2016 Royal Rumble and Mr. McMahon makes you?
Yeah. No, but then Imperium showed up and
Okay, good. I did like how Gunther pops on the screen and goes, "You're gonna fight me tonight," and Kofi's like, "Okay."
Yeah.
We're just hiding off the side of the screen the whole time? Just hiding?
Yeah, that was Kofi's great. Also, I don't know if you noticed this, and also you weren't a big WCW guy.
Oh, so I'm not as a little boy.
Right, that's what I mean.
Yeah, okay.
Well, maybe I guess you would have so
when
anyways,
I say little boy, I'm talking the 80s.
Okay, so you were in the 90s, which means you noticed what Kofi was doing at the beginning of the match. So they went to commercial, Kofi's in the ring. When they come back from commercial, Kofi was doing the Wonderkind Alex Wright dance. Okay. And he said it. They caught it on the camera. It's like, "That's Alex Wright. I know you guys know who Alex Wright is." He's like yelling at Imperium.
That they talk about other stuff, man.
Yeah.
Good.
He was doing that dance and yelling because he was German, right? And Gunther's German. So he was like, "I know you know who Alex Wright is."
I like it.
Yeah.
Damage Control comes out now. And like I said,
by the way, just want to point out in that match, Red Pants Braun shows up just to continue that he's not done with Imperium just yet. So,
I'm really digging Damage Control this week. I thought they had a really good week, and I think this is another example of the little things mattering. And they came out, and it kind of, I think a complaint that I've had, other people have had, is I don't really know how these three mix together. They don't look like they're like a team. And the little things matter sometimes where, yes, they had a really strong Monday with the whole Becky Lynch stuff. You're on the screen with Becky Lynch. Everyone's going to look good. But then yesterday, they all come out. All three of them are wearing the same gear. They're wearing the same colors. And all three of their hair is the same. It's dark and pink. Bailey, Io, Dakota, and the three of them come out. It's like, all right, they look like a unit, and little stuff like that I think matters sometimes. I thought Damage Control had a really good week. Like, I'm starting to take them a little bit more serious because of, subtle things like that can make a difference sometimes. I feel like, all right, these girls, and also, I mean, Dakota Kai's been an MVP. We talked about that earlier.
Right. Yep.
She's terrific.
Especially last night, especially on SmackDown. The whole time Bailey was talking, she's just over there over her shoulder, just like mumbling and whatever.
Just great. Talking to herself. I really dig her. Tegan Knox returns to fight off Damage Control. Liv Morgan comes down 1, 2, 3, you against one. That seems fair because she's very hardcore now. Liv Morgan. And Tegan Knox comes down to help her with very little reaction from the crowd, which I would expect. We've talked about this before. It's a very family-oriented crowd in attendance at WWE shows. Most of them are not going to know Tegan Knox necessarily from NXT, but a lot of people watching like myself, I know Tegan Knox. I was happy to see her back. She's got a new look, so I dug that as well. And again, referencing things in the past and not hiding from it. Michael Cole, excellent job, because the first thing that I thought of when Tegan Knox runs down to the ring, it's like, oh, her and Dakota Kai used to be best friends. Dakota Kai turned on her at the first ever War Games. That was a thing. And Michael Cole made sure he referenced there's a history there between Dakota Kai and Tegan Knox. And it certainly looks like they're going to revisit that now. So I really dig that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Do you think does this mean it's going to be Liv and Tegan Knox against the other against Io and Dakota for the title? Like, is that their next thing? Maybe I like the only thing I just didn't totally get was like, where's Liv fall in all this? I get the Tegan.
Well, maybe that's what it is. They don't have any challengers right now for the title, so maybe that's what it is right now.
Yeah, and to your point on Tegan Nox, this has been my only, I don't know if I'd call it a criticism with all of the returns that, like, I think it's great that Triple H is bringing back all these NXT people that were great in NXT.
I think he's bringing back people we trust.
But the way they're being brought back sometimes leaves something to be desired because, like you said, a lot of people don't know who they are.
But so, how else are you gonna bring back Tegan Nox?
I think you don't bring back Tegan Nox. You introduce Tegan Nox to, like, there's kind of a, like, there was no Tegan Nox returns. There was no vignettes. There was no, like, nothing so that the common crowd who doesn't know, it's just like,
yeah, I would say most of them had no idea who Tegan Nox was.
This random person just saved, and like especially the people in the crowd, like you said, who don't know who she is.
Yeah.
What are they thinking?
Yeah.
Like, they're like, who?
Yeah.
Huh? What? So that's the only, it's not a huge criticism because it's good that they're all coming back because the people that he's brought back for the most part are pretty great. But the other interesting thing is, like, Damage Control was built off of the fact that, like, Bayley handpicked these two girls who were looked over and now she's giving them their shot. But now every week, another NXT person who was looked over is coming back and getting their shot. So it kind of, like, contradicts what Damage Control is. Like, Mia Yim's back now. Tegan Nox is back now. Emma's back now. There's all these women that are coming back that got looked over, and the whole basis of Damage Control was, you two have been looked over, let me lead you. So there's, I don't know, it's a little weird, but it's cool. It's fine. Whatever.
The main event last night was the finals of the World Cup tournament, which I think was a big-time success. They capitalized Fox on the whole World Cup going on with a World Cup tournament of their own. Every competitor is from a different country, essentially. I thought it was a great tournament, not only because we got a great final last night, but the guy who ended up winning the whole thing was who no one picked. I mean, from the get-go, I thought, all right, this is tailor-made for Braun Strowman, even though we are eventually going to be led toward Braun Strowman versus Gunther. Maybe that's a Royal Rumble match. Maybe that's why they stayed away from Braun winning right now, because that title fight's going to come up soon, and maybe they want to delay that to the Royal Rumble, because that is a big fight feel, Braun Strowman versus Gunther. I thought Braun Strowman was going to win the whole time, and then going into this match last night, both you and me was, yeah, Santos Escobar is winning this. Number one, Ricochet is just kind of there, really, for the last couple of years, and also, we've seen Ricochet and Gunther. Great match, but we've already seen it, and that final was fantastic last night. The crowd was really into it. And I guess the direction that they decided to go was, yeah, they want babyface versus heel for the Intercontinental title. And that's what you got.
Yeah. I also thought we would get, like, two of the best up and coming factions against each other, Legado and Imperium. That kind of made sense to me too.
Well, how about this though? And I don't know when they're ever going to do something like this, but again, Zelina Vega, and this is where she really shows her value, you know, where
mentioned Bloodline.
She was on commentary and hinting at Legado coming after the Bloodline. That was really good stuff. And when it's our time, I'm going to wear my heels so that they can hear me coming. Like that. That was good shit. I like that. I hope they eventually visit that.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're way far away from that, but fair enough. Like, fair play, and I think they're good enough to eventually. They probably have to add one more person, I would think, but. Well, actually, I guess we never know. Like, who I would say we're at least a year from something like that happening, and who knows what the Bloodline will be in a year. So, yeah, I think it's awesome that they did it. Ricochet is going to lose. The only issue I have with this, the way they're booking this, and I'll bring this up when we talk about AEW too, is I'm not a huge fan of having a whole tournament to crown a number one contender when we already know who the next number one contender is. When it's like, you have this whole World Cup tournament to crown a number one contender, but Gunther's next feud is already set up.
Yeah,
so it's
in our opinion, I mean, they haven't made that cut and dry. You and I know that's the direction that they're going in, but I really think it's about, they have to stall it somehow to get that match to Royal Rumble. That's a Royal Rumble match. It is.
Yeah,
it's not
there's no pay-per-view this month. This is the issue. There's no premium live event this month. So everything, it's like, when do these matches happen? Right.
Yep. So they got to delay it.
But I'm okay with it. It's fine. It's whatever.
Let's move on to AEW. But first, here's what I want to do. All right. I got 3 pairs of tickets to give away for Impact Wrestling this coming Friday and Saturday. All right. And it's going to be for either show, not giving away tickets for both nights. It'll be for one or the other. I'll let you know. But here's what we're going to do. If you were listening to Brian Myers on Zaslow Show 2.0 this week, if you haven't, go back and listen to it. It was on Thursday's show. Or you can go to youtube.com/@Zaslow Show, and just the interview is right there, me and Brian Myers. All right. Brian Myers mentioned which WrestleMania got him hooked on pro wrestling as a child, which WrestleMania made him fall in love with pro wrestling. So if you watched it, you know. If you didn't watch it, go back and watch it right now. You're listening to It's Still Real to Me right now. The first 3 DMs I get at Zaslow Show, the first 3 direct messages I get that tell me the answer to that question, which was the first WrestleMania that made Brian Myers fall in love with pro wrestling, I'm going to set you guys up, you and a guest, a pair of tickets for Impact Wrestling this coming Friday and Saturday. So right now, the first 3 DMs I get with the correct answer. That's a good way of doing it, right, Joey?
Yeah, they're lucky that I can't be there because I know the answer and I would have DM'd you already.
I'm going to go too. All right. Me and my son, we're going to go as well. That's not count as one of those 3. All right. I'm like the 4th pair, if you will. All right. So the first 3 DMs, go message me right now and we'll set you up. All right. So AEW Dynamite on Wednesday. Moxley opens up the show. We're all waiting for MJF. We're going to hear from MJF. We didn't hear from him the previous week, but Moxley opens the show, and I guess out of nowhere, right? Hangman Page comes out, and I dug this because I don't need Moxley looking like a total badass against everyone that he's in the ring with during every promo segment. Hangman comes out there. He doesn't need to say anything, and they just start going at it, and I found it believable. I'm like, yeah, Hangman's a super tough guy. I can buy him kicking Moxley's ass. So
Cowboy shit, baby.
Yeah, so I dug this opening segment. I was into it.
I like it. First of all, from the standpoint of, I'm just happy to see Hangman because his injury was very scary. Like when he got hurt, it was one of those moments
of professional wrestling. Concussion, is that what they're calling it?
I think it's just a concussion, but if you remember, he was out. Like he went limp in the ring. Yeah. Like it was a bad situation. And we see these from time to time where you're like, shit, like this is why wrestling is dangerous. Mm-hmm. And you don't know, they have the Adam Cole. We don't know if Adam Cole's going to wrestle again because of concussions. Like that's up in the air. We don't know if Big E's going to wrestle again because of his injury. So it's just good to see someone who had a really bad situation be back. Also, Adam Page is awesome. The fans fucking love him. Mm-hmm. And he's one of these quote unquote homegrown AEW guys that needs to be towards the top for them to continue to grow and be interesting. So and if Moxley's still going to be around, I thought he was going to take time off. If he's not going to take time off, then let's have him and Hangman just beat the shit out of each other for a while. That's good.
Can I tell you, it doesn't happen all that often. You had Bryan Danielson versus Dax Harwood. I love seeing Dax Harwood in single matches.
He's awesome.
I think he's awesome. I mean, FTR obviously.
FTR is awesome. Yeah.
But I really dig the rare occasion that we see Dax Harwood in single matches. And I thought this match was awesome, man.
Yeah, it was. You mentioned this a while, even though it didn't open the show. You mentioned this about AEW that they love, like either at the top or either to start the show or at the very top, just have like a badass match.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was. And they actually like bookended this episode with complete opposite types, but also just 2 like badass, awesome wrestling matches.
I'll tell you, and not that Dax Harwood is not a tough guy, but it's got to be such a pain in the ass to be in that ring with Bryan Danielson.
Yeah.
I mean, just a massive pain in the ass to have to wrestle, right?
I know. Yeah. I mean, yeah.
I guess it's probably fun. He's awesome. You're going to have a great match. And it's like, you're going to take a beating, man.
Yeah, I mean, of the type of guys who probably enjoy it, like Dax seems like he's at the top of the list. By the way, one thing that I forgot to mention about that I learned in the opening segment, and I don't know if you knew this, so I was just going to make sure. I want to make it clear. There's only 3 things that are constant in life: death, taxes, and Jon Moxley. So I wasn't sure if you knew that. I learned that this week on AEW programming. I just want to make sure everybody understood.
Is that a Taz line?
No, that's a Jon Moxley line. It was
a Moxley line.
He said that in his promo. Right. And I'm glad that I know that now. There's 3 constants: So just wanted to point that out.
What did you make of all right, let's get to MJF segment. There's a lot that happened here. All right.
So much. We could have a whole episode on this. Yeah.
The first thing that I'll bring up is, what do you make of the new Triple B? All right, the Burberry belt.
It's awesome. I
think it's always a good heel move when you change the belt. Like Bryan Danielson when he changed the belt to the hemp belt.
Yeah, the environmentally conscious belt. Yeah,
that belt sucks, man. It's always a good heel move when you change the belt. I don't want the belt that, you know, all the other people have worn. They're not on my level. I need my own belt. So you like the belt. I like the belt. Very good. This, I know, got a lot of people going on the internet where it's kind of his shtick now, MJF, where he references WWE and the bidding war for 2024. We're a year away. But
Jolly Saint Nick.
Saint Nick and the Trips. Game, Trips. All right. Yep. Does it bother you that we're referencing WWE and he's the champion, though, of AEW? Like, is it one thing to reference the competition where it's like, hey, you know, you better start treating me as such here. I want a title shot. I should be the champion, as opposed to now I am the top dog and I'm still referencing the competition. You care?
No, not at all. I mean, I think in a similar way to we talk about how we love that WWE is now like they're not afraid to reference other companies and other things.
But they never reference AEW. Never, ever. Like they'll reference other companies for things that happened in the past, but they never, ever reference AEW. Yeah.
I mean, I have no problem with it. I just don't. I mean, if Tony, what I would love to know is like, does Tony Khan know that this is going to happen?
I think so. The only part that worries me is, you know, let's say I'm someone who just started watching AEW. All right, I'm just starting to take notes, and their champion is constantly referencing the other promotion. Like, is that because the other promotion's better and that's really where he wants to be? I mean, why wouldn't he want to be where he is right now? He's the champion. Like, if I'm a new viewer for AEW, that might pop into my head. Like, I get it. You get it. We've been watching for a while. But if I'm a new viewer, why is their champion talking about maybe he'd rather be in a different promotion? That part I think can be a little bit weird.
Yeah, I guess. But also, I guess if you're a new viewer, you probably don't even catch on to, like, how many casual viewers even know what he's saying when he says Saint Nick? There's not a lot of people out there who know who Nick Khan is. Like,
they definitely know the game. Like, you're going to know who that is.
Yeah, they do. It doesn't worry me a ton, especially, and I'll bring this up now, the fact that this segment didn't open or close the show. It was just kind of like in the middle of the show.
I think it was the end of hour number 1. I think it was at the turn of the hour, which is important, which is an important quarter hour of the show.
It is, if you know that's when it's going to be. I just, the way the set, we'll get to the way it ended. I just thought it was an end of show moment, but
or a beginning of the show moment.
Yeah, but anyway, yeah. So
he calls out Danielson and Ricky Starks. Ricky Starks
and Eddie Kingston.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. I'm not a huge fake
tough guys like Eddie Kingston.
I'm not a huge Eddie Kingston guy, but I like when he's out there because I feel like there's an element of real to it when he's out there. So I like that. I don't think much of him as a wrestler, but when he's out there, I feel like, all right, I don't know what the hell's about to happen.
Yeah, I'm not huge on him like everybody else is. Like the AEW, hardcore AEW fans fucking love the guy.
Yeah,
but
I don't feel that way.
Yeah, he's fine.
But I like when he's out there.
Yeah.
But I feel like we're setting up, and Ricky Starks is obviously, he's next in line because he won the tournament, right? But it feels like the big feud is going to be Danielson, especially with how the segment ended. Like they're leading toward like a huge program, right? Maybe not right now, maybe not in the immediate aftermath, but we are clearly leading toward a huge program between Danielson and MJF, right?
Well, yeah, and I'll take it back to last week, right? Last week we were talking about how like what is Bryan Danielson talking about with Moxley? But if you go back to the promo from last week, he mentioned, please don't do this. He has a brain bleed, right?
That's what it was all about.
And then now MJF hits him in the head. He's out. Bryan Danielson comes out. The interesting thing about this, and I didn't put this in Big Dirt because I knew we were going to be talking about this segment. Have you heard of, like, I believe that this was writing Regal off of AEW forever. Like, I think
I don't know,
done.
man. I don't know. I know the rumor out there is that he's going back to WWE, and apparently his deal is up this month.
Yeah.
I don't know if I buy that, because AEW has done a really good job at making you think one thing and it ends up being the other. Like, weren't we all led to totally believe that Malachi Black is done with AEW? Like, he was done. It was over. He was gone. He's leaving. And the next thing you know, okay, he only wanted a month off. And now House of Black was back on television on AEW. I think they're pretty good at making you think one thing, and it's just not true. So I know that's the hot rumor out there that William Regal is going back to WWE. I don't know if I buy that.
And Triple H tweeted that video before War Games of Stephen Reed, of William. They called it Shivani called him
Steven and then caught himself.
Yeah, I just did it too. Of William Regal saying War Games. So I think that puts some fuel to the fire. I don't know. Yeah. I mean, I don't know what Regal would do in WWE at this point, unless they're going to put him as the GM of like NXT again,
maybe
which he was great
back
at.
To NXT, yeah.
I guess, but yeah, it's clear that this is where it's headed, right? I mean, we have to do the Ricky Starks thing, and by the way, like, again, we don't even have to get into this, but like this whole like double booking number one contender thing. Next week on Dynamite, they're doing the Dynamite Diamond Ring Battle Royal for number one contender. So there will be another number one contender before we even get the Ricky Starks.
I like it. I think if you're the champion, you got a bullseye, and there's a bunch of guys that are coming after you. I like that. I'm okay with it.
Well, there's always good. I mean, but if you're the champion, everyone's coming after you. But I don't know. Just
so he's not going to be in it then, obviously. Doesn't he always win it?
Who?
MJF.
I think so. But no, yeah, he can't be in it because it's
not going to be in it.
Yeah. So, but I don't know. I just think that's weird, but yeah, it's definitely leading toward.
Were you surprised with him turning? Were you surprised with him landing the blow on Regal? Did you see it coming?
No, I didn't see it coming, but I thought it was weird. It was interesting the way he was referencing certain things, and he insulted Moxley.
I love that he got him from behind the head. That was the move. I love it.
It was really good, and the way afterwards he said. The way he basically like turned Regal's email.
He recited the old email. That was awesome.
But he was like,
"Yep,
dear Mr. Regal.
Yep,
MJF no longer works with anyone but top talent. Please reach back out to us when you are one.
Sincerely, your world champion, Maxwell Jacob Friedman."
That was awesome.
Yeah.
The other two small things that I will point out about this segment. MJF refers to himself as Mystic Max, which is important because it's not the first time he's done it. And for those of you who know where that's from, Conor McGregor calls himself Mystic Mac when he predicts it. He's always called himself Mystic Mac because he predicts his fights.
I like it. Okay.
Number two, AEW tweeted out a picture zoomed in of MJF's suit. The pinstripes on his suit said, "Better than you."
Yeah.
What is that a reference to? Conor McGregor's suit when he was doing his press conferences with Floyd Mayweather. The pinstripes said "fuck you."
Yeah. That's good stuff.
MJF's keeping that hope alive.
That's good stuff.
I don't think it's ever going to happen, but he's trying.
Give me some thoughts here, and then we'll get to Big Dirt, not Big Dirt. Give me some thoughts here on the Elites. The Elite cut the series lead against Death Triangle to 2-1 last night. Give me some thoughts.
Great match. Fun match. I thought it'd be cooler if they were down 3-0. Kenny Omega.
I thought it'd been too predictable if they're down 3-0. I like that the Elite.
Yeah, Kenny Omega gets on the mic and says it's going to be a reverse sweep. I'm not sure if that's how that works, but he says they're going to now win 4 in a row. I'm assuming it's still going to go 7, but it's fine. Now we get a week off, which is good. They're not fighting again for 2. They're not on Dynamite next week. They're on the following week at Winter is Coming. So fine, but it was good. It's fun.
Also, can we find something better to do for my girl Jade Cargill than Bow Wow? I mean, she came out looking like $1 million, literally. She besides that, she is gorgeous. She just looks like a big time star. Can we have her doing something other than back and forth with Bow Wow? Come on.
It's really bad.
I'm not.
I hate it. I actually genuinely, really, truly dislike it. I'm
not into it. And I also want to make note. I liked Jamie Hayter, the women's champion. Mad that Saraya has a sit down coming up with Renee Paquette. So she has demanded her own sit down next week with Tony Schiavone. Yeah, yep. I like that.
Yeah. The only other thing, Ruby Soho's back, which for some people is a big deal. Doesn't really do much for me.
There's no reason that AEW's history with Ruby Soho does not lead me to believe it's a big deal. You know?
Sure. Fair enough. Yeah, I mean, I agree. But, actually in my notes, I wrote Ruby Soho is back. Yawn.
Yeah, I like Ruby Soho, but based on the way AEW's used, right? Okay, so, don't care.
But yeah, I just want to, before we do Big Dirt, not Big Dirt, just real quick, Rampage, like quietly all of a sudden had like all this big stuff happen last night, which neither of us really watch it consistently.
I think it
was also pre-taped, so maybe we could have known this ahead of time. But like, first of all, Darby Allin fights a singles match on his own without Sting.
Good.
Hey, and pre-taped segment, like a little backstage vignette. Darby Allin challenges Samoa Joe for the TNT title, happening next week on Dynamite.
All right, good.
Now, the strange thing about that is that separately on the show, another backstage pre-tape segment with Juice Robinson, who is now in AEW, who was formerly in NXT, is part of the Bullet Club in New Japan, also challenging Samoa Joe for the Ring of Honor television title. So now it'll be Juice Robinson versus Samoa Joe at Final Battle, just a few days later. A little weird that there's two pre-taped vignette segments challenging Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe, I guess, is a big deal. Acclaimed, very cool in-ring segment where they basically, it's announced that they'll fight FTR next week for the tag team titles. Hikaru Shida will defend her title next week, from some random company that I've never heard of.
What belt does she have?
I don't know. She has 2 belts, I think, from other companies. I don't know. And then Orange Cassidy has a lumberjack match for his title with QT Marshall. That ends up with him in the back. The lumberjacks are brawling. House of Black shows up again and beats the shit out of everyone. So what
happened with Danhausen? Was he a lumberjack?
Yes, he was a lumberjack. He was a lumberjack. Him and
Danhausen.
Yeah. But interestingly enough, I think Ortiz, was one of the lumberjacks, and House of Black was going to, attack him, and Malachi Black stopped them from attacking him and made them attack somebody else.
All right.
So I wonder what that means. I don't know.
All right.
But I know it's just a lot of stuff like went down. Next week's Dynamite, by the way, you had Darby Allin versus Samoa Joe for the TNT title. You get the Acclaim versus FTR for tag titles. You have Jade Cargill fighting in a tag match. You have MJF, an MJF segment, so the world champ's on it. You got to sit down with Jamie Hayter, and you have the Dynamite Diamond Ring Battle Royal. That's a pay-per-view.
That's a big night.
That's a pay-per-view. And by the way, AEW struggles to put this much content into 2 hours, so I'll be interested to see if it flows. But that's a lot of shit for a 2-hour Dynamite. You get a lot of picture-in-picture, people. I hope you like it.
Let's give me the dirt, man. Let's do Big Dirt, not Big Dirt. What do we got this week, man?
All right. So FTR's contract. Speaking of FTR, we've talked a lot about them because they're awesome. It's reportedly up in 2023, and apparently they're considering taking the year off from major companies and just bouncing around from promotion to promotion, just doing shit they like.
They're going they're going like the Matt Cardona route. That's what they're going to
do. Reported that's what they're thinking about. So Big Dirt.
I'm going not Big Dirt because I don't like it. I want them to be committed to one of the top promotions there, and so that I know when I could see them, so I could see them each week. I could see them going back to WWE, by the way. All right.
I was going to say I almost like it because I think it gives them a year off to be out of people's thought, and then they come back to WWE.
Okay. I'm going not Big Dirt though.
Okay. All right. So we talked about what could happen at Mania.
Yeah.
And it sounds like the rumors are heating up, and there's no backstage. There's not a backstage commitment. There's not a firm plan, but the rumors are heating up that good old Dewey will be back at the Rumble and will win the Rumble to set up a match with Roman Reigns. The Rock returning. Big Dirt, not Big Dirt.
I'm going not Big Dirt because I don't like it. I don't think there's any reason. You already have a built-in story for The Rock to challenge Roman Reigns. The Rock, if you win Royal Rumble, you want to win the championship. There's no reason for The Rock, for Dwayne Johnson, the #1 movie star in the world, to want to be the WWE champion. There is reason for The Rock to try and prove to Roman Reigns that he is the head of the table. It's a built-in story. You don't need to win the Royal Rumble to have Rock challenge Roman Reigns. So I hope that's not the direction that they're going in. I don't like Rock winning the Royal Rumble. I mean, it'd be like if it would happen, it'd be fun, and I'll cheer. It'll be great. But I think it's completely unnecessary. That story's already there. I hope someone else wins.
Yeah, but the only problem is, if you're gonna do Rock Roman, it has to be at Mania.
Yeah.
But the winner of Rumble fights the champion at Mania, and there's only one champion.
Maybe Roman fights 2 nights. I don't know.
Yeah,
maybe he fights 2 nights.
Maybe it's possible. All right. Speaking of Roman, so he was off TV both days this week, and I don't know if this is linked. Maybe it's just they were keeping him off TV, but he's suffering from a legit, like, real injury from Survivor Series, from War Games. Kevin Owens slapped him. It might be a ruptured eardrum.
Right.
Apparently, he was not very happy after the match with what KO did. They're saying it's like kind of blown over, but some people maybe not sure. But he's actually legit hurt. Big dirt, not big dirt. The tribal chief ruptured eardrum.
I'm actually going not big dirt. It's not ballet. You know, guys are going to get hurt. Things are going to happen. And I think it's probably overblown that there's heat between Roman Reigns and Kevin Owens. These are 2 super professional dudes who, you know, really care about the business and their work. So the idea that Roman Reigns is not going to understand that sometimes there's going to be injuries and he's going to be angry at Kevin Owens, when besides the end of that match was freaking fire, I don't buy it. I think there's a lot to do about nothing there, so I'm going not big.
All right, and I'll end it here. It's a little bit smaller news, but I think it's interesting because we talk about NXT guys getting their shot to come back that Triple H likes. It looks like Eric Young was written off Impact TV this week.
They actually murdered him. They killed him.
Yeah, and is reportedly returning to WWE soon.
Yeah.
Which I think, you know, I like Eric Young. I met him at
Big
CBS Sports.
Football fan.
Hey, huge fantasy guy. He did our fantasy marathon when I was there. Big dirt, not big dirt. Eric Young getting a second shot potentially at WWE.
Well, I'm going big dirt because I don't know of a wrestler being murdered off of television. He was murdered.
Vince McMahon was murdered when they blew up his car.
I don't remember it happening otherwise. Yeah. So I'm going big dirt. That was crazy. It was like a.
Well, what do you consider getting buried alive? I mean,
that's true.
Like AJ Styles is back after the Boneyard match. Like he was buried in the Boneyard.
That's true. That's true. Great job, Joey. Looking forward to giving away some tickets for Impact Wrestling, and we'll talk to you next Saturday, man.
All right, thanks.